Welcome in A to Z Sports here live on this Wednesday, talking about Lamar Jackson and the latest report from Sunday morning about the Titans being linked to Ravens quarterback, former NFL MVP Lamar Jackson, who has an interesting contract situation as he is currently under a franchise tag from the Baltimore Ravens, and teams have taken themselves out of the ring for Lamar Jackson, but nothing has really happened since the Baltimore Ravens put that franchise tag on Lamar Jackson just about 2 weeks ago, earlier in March. So, Zach, we are here to talk about the most recent conversation about the Titans being named and linked as a wildcard team to land Lamar Jackson. This is coming from ESPN on SportsCenter Sunday morning from Jeremy Fowler. So we'll display his comments here in a second and kind of set the table for what this means, what the Titans would have to do to get or to approach Lamar Jackson to see if he would be their quarterback moving forward. And then we'll discuss if we think, and if you guys all think in the chat, that the Titans should pursue Lamar Jackson or not. And then where do we think Lamar Jackson will end up? Because this saga, I think, is going to continue for quite some time. I don't expect an ending to it anytime soon. But Zach, welcome in. We're gonna have a big time show talking about Lamar Jackson. I know Jimbo in the chat on YouTube has been screaming for the last 2 days for us to have this conversation. So here we are on a Wednesday, having the Lamar Jackson Titans rumors conversation. And it is a Wednesday, which means we end the show. We're throwing shade like we always do to wrap up Wednesday. So Zach, welcome in. I hope you are ready to go with this Lamar Jackson conversation.
Well, I'm ready to go so much about the Lamar Jackson conversation that I forgot to pull the pronunciations of Titans general manager and linebacker and new linebacker. So we'll have to do that. It's only Wednesday, so we have time to do that tomorrow or Friday. But we do have the correct pronunciation from the man himself, the new middle linebacker, which I will not say his name until we get this 100% correct. So we'll pull that. And then we've got Titans general manager Rand saying his last name in a video that we will get 100% correct. And we will set the record straight from here on out and do our best to correctly pronounce those two individuals' names. We're not going to do that today because this is the Lamar show, but we still got a couple more days left to go in the week, so we'll pick between Thursday and Friday for those videos. So just to clear the air there. But today is about Lamar Jackson, and we are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out segment by segment and link by link on our Twitter handle at A to Z Sports. Follow us there of our YouTube links. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 15,000. We're right around 11, 12,000, but we're climbing up as free agency has kind of come and gone, at least the first wave. And then we've got the NFL draft on the horizon next month. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really good content going out there consistently. And if you've already subscribed, like this video. So like this show before you go, as we say, like that show, and that will help the community grow. For Facebook, bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring and caring is sharing. On this show, we need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. How that happens is you guys share the show around, and more people will be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. So a lot to discuss. I was not on the previous show talking about Lamar Jackson, so this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to talk about Lamar. It's going to be a good show. Let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline, and hit us up on Instagram and on TikTok for more Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you. Like Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Farm Bureau Health Plans get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage rates and service. Learn more about a health plan for you at fbhp.com/ATOZ. Zach, we're going to get this thing going about Lamar Jackson and the report that came out on Sunday. But as you mentioned, give us that like on the show, because we've got a lot more people watching right now than who have liked the show on Facebook and YouTube. So give us that thumbs up, and that'll help get more people in this conversation to find the best sample size on if Titans fans want or don't want Lamar Jackson. Because Julius, I see right here, says, hope the Titans don't get Lamar. Well, here we go. This was the report Sunday morning on SportsCenter. So this is ESPN SportsCenter from Jeremy Fowler, NFL reporter for the worldwide leader ESPN. Quote, and then when you talk about good fits, I asked some execs around the league what teams would make sense. They mentioned Tennessee, who just cleared some cap space. They have a new GM, Ran, who is working on the roster. They could use a running quarterback and have had experience with that in the past. Again, that was Sunday morning on SportsCenter, which is not just like any random like show, right? Like Sunday morning SportsCenter is still probably one of the biggest sports centers that they have right now when it comes to viewership. You would think as the media consumption,
I would debate that. So
no, I still think Sunday morning SportsCenter is still a pretty big deal. I think it's way bigger.
Clue. I think that there's nothing to back that up in today's era and how we consume media. So I don't know that, but it was Sunday. Let's just say that. It was
Sunday, yes. And so, again, Jeremy Fowler said this when he was bringing up and mentioned wildcard teams that could land Lamar Jackson. He also mentioned the New England Patriots as well during that segment on SportsCenter Sunday morning. So, Zach, your initial thoughts overall on what Jeremy Fowler said Sunday morning that we just showed the quote of right there?
Well, I'll ask you this. What are the two biggest storylines this free agency?
Aaron Rodgers, which is not a free agent storyline, but it is a storyline during the free agent cycle, right? Aaron Rodgers. And then I guess Lamar Jackson would have to be second, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers' storyline, which would be a trade, I think is a bigger story than the Lamar Jackson, because there's a lot more ridiculousness going around the Aaron Rodgers story because of the darkness retreat and this being like the third consecutive offseason that Aaron Rodgers has done something along these lines.
Well, and then Aaron going on, Pat McAfee and actually speaking and, you hearing from the player. I mean, there's so many unique parts of that story.
Right.
But Lamar Jackson is definitely the second. And Lamar Jackson and how the franchise, the Baltimore Ravens, have treated Lamar, how Lamar in the last couple of years has played or not played, and what he's going to do moving forward, and how the league has structured what is going on with the franchise tag, which we'll talk about here in a second. So I look at this story and I say, this is what reporters are doing. They are looking for any singular angle for the Lamar Jackson story, whether there is an angle or whether there is not. And so when I heard this report, I did not watch SportsCenter along with millions and millions of other people Sunday morning.
Who had more viewers, live viewers? SportsCenter on Sunday morning or Pat McAfee with Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, Pat McAfee 100%, right? Which is hilarious. So I look at this and I say, this is a reporter in Jeremy Fowler, and I'm not singling out him. I would say the generality of reporters looking for any angle to take with Lamar Jackson, whether there is movement or not. So look, I think, it's an opinion-based report. I don't know if there is a validity of a strong connection of the Titans trying to acquire Lamar Jackson. I don't believe that. But that's how I took it as, okay, that's a logic report, but it doesn't mean that there is substance to the report, in my opinion.
Yeah, so again, to show the quote from Jeremy Fowler, this was from SportsCenter on Sunday morning. Quote, and when you talk about good fits, I asked some executives around the league what teams would make sense. They mentioned Tennessee, who just cleared some cap space. They have a new GM, Rand, who is working on the roster. They could use a running quarterback, and they have experience with that in the past. So that's Jeremy Fowler there. So, Zach, let's reset the stage on the Lamar Jackson contract situation, on what the Baltimore Ravens did earlier this month in early March with the non-exclusive franchise tag for the former NFL MVP.
That's right. It is very significant and very specific as far as how the non-exclusive tag works. Let's start with the exclusive tag. That is generally only applied to quarterbacks. And what it means is he is our guy and you can't touch him unless they do some sort of trade. In other words, the team controls everything. It is basically you are just signing him to a contract, and that's it. And that is more expensive, would have been more than $45 million for Lamar Jackson. Then there is the non-exclusive tag, which almost everyone else gets and which Lamar got. It is lower, $32 million. It also includes an option where another team can step in, sign the player to an offer sheet, basically sign him to a contract, and then get him from the team that franchised him for the price of 2 first-round picks. So basically, you come in, if you like Lamar Jackson, you sign him to a big deal, presumably fully guaranteed. You then give the Ravens 2 first-round picks, and then he is yours, except they also have a chance to match. So what the Ravens could essentially be doing is, we think Lamar Jackson's market is this. If another team comes in and sets it, signs it to offer sheet, okay, maybe we'll just match, get a contract with our guy, and move forward. That process starts early next week and can continue deep into the season. And certainly it ramps things up, ramps up the conversation for all teams, knowing that on some level, for some compensation, Lamar Jackson is available.
Ian, thank you. So
Ian Rappaport from NFL Network, that was from March 7th when the Ravens did use the non-exclusive franchise tag on quarterback Lamar Jackson. So 2 first-round picks is what it would cost if Lamar Jackson signs an offer sheet from any other team. And obviously the Ravens have an opportunity to match whatever that offer sheet is. So look, there's nuances with all of that, right? Lamar Jackson is representing himself. The Ravens have been open about how difficult the negotiation has been on what is the market for Lamar Jackson. And as Ian Rappaport said, this could be a way to let other teams negotiate for the Ravens, and they could just match the offer and be fine with it. Or it's 2 first-round draft picks and not having to pay a quarterback whatever a team is going to offer Lamar Jackson to come play for them.
Well, here would be a question that I would have is, and this is something that Rappaport did not touch on, the rule states that the Ravens can match, but does the player have to sign? Right? So if if a team puts together a contract, the Ravens then match that contract, is it then the player's choice to pick which contract that he wants? Or is he forced to sign with the Ravens due to the stipulation of the non-exclusive franchise tag? That would be my one question with that. Because when this situation occurs, things get murky. They always do, right? Because a team is holding a player, in the player's eyes, somewhat hostage. Now, it's $32 million of hostage, so it's not that bad. But against his will of a long-term contract, it prevents long-term guaranteed money. And we all know what Deshaun Watson did to set that standard with Cleveland a year ago. And that's kind of what Lamar has based his asking price on personally. So that would be my question. Do you have that answer?
Yeah, I do. NFL.com, here you go. Teams that use the non-exclusive franchise tag hold the right of first refusal. If a designated player signs an offer sheet with another team, the player's previous team has 5 days to match said offer sheet. Should it decide not to, the player's original team shall be entitled to draft compensation to the first picks. And honestly,
so that's okay. So that makes a lot more sense. And I thought that was, I didn't think that they weren't going to force a player to sign with a team. So that is the first 2 round picks. The nuance of that is that a team matches the offer and the player does not then sign there, they are compensated with the 2 first-round picks.
Yes. If a offer sheet is signed by the player for another team, there's only 2 options. It's either the player goes back to the original team for the match, or they decide to go with a new team and the old team gets the compensation, right?
Okay. So now to clarify that, that's why, the player's probably not going to go back to the old team because of how this thing has been handled.
I disagree. I think there's still plenty of possibilities for Lamar Jackson to go back to the Baltimore Ravens if an offer sheet situation happens. So look, all right, let's go ahead and ask this question, and we'll talk about where Lamar and where we predict and think Lamar will end up after this entire situation plays out. But let's get the chat more involved this morning, Zach. Should the Titans pursue quarterback Lamar Jackson? Should the Titans pursue quarterback Lamar Jackson? One more time. Here's Jeremy Fowler's quote from Sunday Morning Sports Center. NFL execs around the league mentioned Tennessee, who would be a good fit for Lamar Jackson. So the Titans, they're linked on Sunday as a wild card team to land Lamar Jackson. So should the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson? Zach, we'll get to everybody's comments, but you're going to tell us all about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your new ride. They've got your perfect make and model right down the street. I-40, exit 236. We've broadcasted from there. I mean, it is a great dealership. It's got all the bells and whistles. You can test drive your car today. Your car may be the Palisade, full-size SUV with third-row seating. Your car may be the four-door sedan, which is the Sonata, the Hyundai Sonata with great fuel efficiency. Your car may be the Ioniq, which is battery-powered. Take a look at all of their inventory at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Make that quick trip right down I-40 to Wilson County Hyundai and get behind the wheel and feel the fire and test drive a vehicle today. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Also, with the BetMGM app, I feel like we're waiting forever for Thursday night to get here for the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, but you can make sure to fill that time with the BetMGM app by using the Refer a Friend invitation, by having your friends join you on the BetMGM app. So what you do, you log into your app on BetMGM, you send that Refer a Friend invitation out to your buddies, and you can get $50 in bonus bets for every friend who signs up via your invitation, up to 20 friends. That's up to $1,000 in bonus bets just by you having your friends join from your invitation, and your friends also get the same deal, $50 in bonus bets back when they sign up with your invitation. So check that out right there with the BetMGM app, Refer a Friend invitation feature. So the question we asked, Zach, is should the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson, the non-exclusive franchise tag, which would mean if the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson, they sign him to an offer sheet for however much money that ends up being, and then they are okay with losing 2 first-round draft picks if that is the case. So should the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson? It's a yes or no. The chat's on fire. I'm sure I'll send you to the firestorm.
Well, we know that the firestorm worked because the first answer was absolutely, and the second answer was absolutely not. So we know we've got a good question. Let's go to the chat overall, though, and see what we've got. Bama Brad says no. Andre says no. Jeremy says no. Ahmad says yes. Jimbo says F yes, and he's been asking for this conversation for some time. Eric says no. Barcelino says no. Hell no from Billy. Chris says no. So the no's are really starting to come in. Tighten Up says no. Pass from Richter. We've got Steven saying hell no. Yes from Hassan. 1,000% yes from Jesse. Jonathan says, of course they should. Vibe Runners says no. Hell no from Kenny. Name his injuries, and I think we've got to get to that from Orlando because that is valid on the number of games that he has missed. Joe Guac says yes. Gary says yes. Hell to the no from David. Nasty Nate says no. Absolutely from Pat. 100% should go after Lamar from Arthur. Absolutely not from Steven. Damn Skippy from Teddy. We got a lot of different ways to say yes and no. Juggy says I say no, but Daff says yes. Eugene says yes. Don't pursue from Nick. Abso-freaking-lutely from Caleb. Absolutely not from Jody. Yes, 1,000,000% from Orlando, even though he's asking about those injuries, which we'll get to here in a second. Sure, but send a 24 and a 25 draft pick from Denise. So playing chess, not checkers, and waiting to see if Lamar gets past draft day, or I don't know if that can be negotiated. That is something
we'll discuss that here in a bit.
On when and the timing of the draft picks to be given up. Because if a team, in this case, the example is the Titans, do this after this year's draft, it would be 24-25, and then they could keep their first round pick for this year. They kick the can down the road, or if they do it before, they would get their 2025 first round draft pick because they would give up this year's and next year. So there's some detail in that. Colby says yes. Roderick says no. Brad says no, absolutely from Ken. So, look, I think it's a mixed bag overall here, Austin. But there are, I think, majority have said no. But I think that majority is like 55, 45 or 60-40. I think that's probably the discrepancy from the chat. And we've got a good number of people watching this morning because Lamar is cerebral. We talked about this being the second most important story of the free agency period besides the Aaron Rodgers Jets saga. But that's kind of where the chat has gone, I guess. Do you have the injuries?
Yeah, I do. This is awesome. Like, I don't know how Draft Sharks got this data or how they come up with their percentages but this is draftsharks.com, which I've found, and I have 3 players. I have Lamar Jackson and 2 other players that Titans fans are familiar with on injury history and their injury risk percentage. So how about this? So Lamar Jackson, his injuries over the course of his career in 2021 had a concussion. And then in 2021 had a lower lumbar sprain in his back. Then he has 2 knee injuries, one in 2020, which was a patella sprain, and then in 2022, which caused him to miss the end of this season, which was the big one, the PCL sprain grade 2. So 2 knee injuries in the last 3 seasons. He also has 2 foot injuries. One of them was back in 2015 when he was at Louisville. And then the other one in 2021, where he had the ankle sprain a year, the season before last, that caused him to miss the last 6 games of the season. So the problem is he's had lower body injuries, a knee injury and an ankle sprain the last 2 seasons that have caused him to miss the last 7 and the last 6 games of the regular season. In 2021, he was the reason why the Ravens missed the playoffs. And this past year, they made the playoffs. They fought admirably against the Bengals, but lost that game because he was unavailable. So several injuries later in his career. Now, Draft Sharks has his chance of injury in 2023 at 9%, which I thought was interesting. They only project him to miss 0.4 games in 2023, which I think is low. So they view him as a very low injury risk. Now, then I looked up Bud Dupree because I thought that would be fun. Bud Dupree is also considered a low risk. His chance of injury in 2023 is 29% compared to Lamar Jackson's 9%. Then I thought, who is the most injured Titans quarterback of recent memory? I went with Marcus Mariota, who has a high risk of injury. His injury chance in 2023 is 40%. So that's kind of those 3 players.
Jake Locker in there?
Probably not, because he is retired and has been for Jake Locker has been retired for almost 8 years, I think. So anyway,
I don't think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame.
No, I don't. I think that that is
that
past.
ship
So,
is sailed.
Yeah, somebody asked, what is Ryan Tannehill's injury rate? I can look that up. Ryan Tannehill injury history from Draft Sharks. But what's your thought on the low injury risk that Draft Sharks has put together?
Well, I think it probably goes to, injury history has got to go into it, but it also is what injuries were sustained, right? Can they heal 100%? Are they going to hinder him from playing at 100%? going into this season. And I think Lamar Jackson will be at 100% going into the 2023 season. Where he will play, I do not know. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But you cannot be denied, and that was the bag out on Lamar Jackson when he was drafted at the end of the first round by the Baltimore Ravens, was can he stay healthy with how he plays, the frame that he has, and going up against NFL defenses. He did what he did at Louisville against, bad ACC defenses, and that happened, but it's carried over. He's had some stellar season, the youngest MVP in the history of the game. You can't be denied. And that was unbelievable. That was a great season. And coincidentally, the Titans ended that season in the divisional round of the playoffs in Baltimore. But, I think you have to look at that if you are giving up assets to sign this quarterback at a massive contract, because that's what he's asking for. And I also look at the Ravens and what they're going through with this non-exclusive franchise tag. They're kind of forced into this position. Like, they have to do this. They have to put this type of tag. It is the smartest thing that they can do in this particular situation.
Yep.
If they are not willing to meet the demands of this quarterback, which they've said that they're not going to. So the writing is on the wall of what they should do, and they're doing it. I don't blame the Ravens for the process.
No, not at all. I think this is the right way to do it, is let the potential other teams negotiate what Lamar Jackson's market value is, since you couldn't come to it with the player who represents himself and you and your front office members. It's a really tough situation, because he's missed, the last 6 games last year, the last 7 games the year before. And if you count the playoffs, the last 7 games in the last 2 seasons where Lamar Jackson has been unavailable due to injury. And if you're going to give, however many hundreds of millions of dollars, $250 million to a quarterback over, 7 years or whatever it might be, you got to make sure that guy can win you playoff games, which he has struggled to do in the past, right? Lamar Jackson still only has 1 playoff win under his belt, and that was in Nissan Stadium during the COVID playoffs years, where the Titans sputtered and Arthur Smith then took the Falcons job a couple days after, right? So there's a lot to that. Now, the last thing I'll wrap up before we move on, Ryan Tannehill's injury risk is 13%, according to Draft Shark. So Lamar, less of an injury risk than Tannehill, but both considered low.
Well,
so
age
has
got to come into play on that.
Sure. And play style, all of that. So Zach, did you answer the question yet?
No,
yes.
not yet.
Okay. I'll let you do that now. Yes or no? Should the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson?
My answer is no. I think at this point in time of where their franchise is, and the risk and what you have to give up, I don't think this is the smart decision for the foreseeable future of the Titans. I think I don't think that Rand is going to do this. I would be very, very surprised if he is debating this. You're just hedging the future of your franchise on a guy who has proven that he can play at a very high level and win you a lot of games, but he also has proven to be not available. We always go back to the best ability is availability. And I have a question mark no matter what Loan Shark, Hurt Shark, whatever website you go to that tells me whatever percentage that they think he's an injury risk. I don't trust it for 2 first-round picks and a multi-$100 million contract. Like, you got to think about the money that he's being paid. And here's the last thing that I say that I think is very important. For me, if I am Rand, I sit here and I say, I think that Lamar Jackson negotiating on behalf of himself and not having an agent is a hindrance. It is a hindrance for other teams coming into the mix and wanting to negotiate or putting together an offer sheet for said player. Agents are not the best in the world. We saw that with Tory Dandy and John Robinson and AJ Brown when that whole debacle happened last year. But when you're talking about this type of money and you're talking directly to the player, or if their counsel, usually in this case is like family members or friends. I think I read something where he leans on Lamar's leans on his mother and his friendship group.
Yeah, his mom is very involved in his
and that's okay.
Situation. Yeah,
but I'm not doing that. If I'm Rand, I'm not coming in and negotiating with a mother and her son on top of giving up 2 first-round picks, on top of giving up multi-million dollars worth of guaranteed money, especially as a brand new general manager to a franchise that you've worked your entire life to get to this point, that if it doesn't work, that is going to be the singular note that all people and fans and front office point to on if you are a success or a failure in the eyes of the franchise. So I say no.
Okay.
I do not do this. It's too big of a risk.
I do have a follow-up question for you. Jesse says, Rand's own words, quarterbacks get you hired and get you fired. I don't think Rand is willing to put his job on the line because if he got Lamar and it failed, it would end
Jesse,
with his job.
Love of the show.
I don't disagree with Jesse's comment there. So Zach, my follow-up to you is you are and were pro the Titans trading for Aaron Rodgers, right? You've said that several shows on our platform, right?
Yes.
You were pro Aaron Rodgers. Why were you pro Aaron Rodgers and anti Lamar Jackson in these situations for the Titans acquiring a different quarterback, MVP quarterbacks, plural? Why? What's the difference in your mind?
Well, the first round picks, that's the difference. The compensation package is not close to being the same. You are paying for a short term, and it's a short term deal. Aaron Rodgers has also proven that he stays on the field over the course of his tenure, that if he plays, if he is on your roster, he is going to play. He has been hurt. You talk about his injury percentage. I would say that is lower, and you don't have to give away 2 first-round picks. That's the key to this. And you also don't have to sign away probably the guaranteed money that you would have to guarantee Lamar Jackson.
Well, just to Draft Sharks is now a website that we're just going to use whenever we.
It's also SPO don't know. I don't trust that worth a damn.
Well,
it's all yes. It's all assumptions. Don't take these percentage. I kind of want to stop quoting them because they're not legit. You typed in lone injury shark and you came up with this random ass website. Let's not reference.
I'm
it
not
like
okay.
It's the gospel.
Fine. Zach's laying down the law on no more draft sharks. So sorry for having fun.
Well, we didn't. We've experimented with SPO, and you got that wrong for 2 years.
All right. So Zach, here's what I also do think though. I think Lamar Jackson for 2 first-round draft picks is not that crazy of a compensation, considering his age, what you have moving forward for him, and what Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what the compensation will be if it goes through for the New York Jets to acquire Aaron Rodgers. It's probably going to be at least a first-round pick, and Aaron Rodgers' contract that the Jets are trying to acquire is ridiculous. Like, they have guaranteed money for Aaron Rodgers for like 2025 and 2026, where Aaron Rodgers would be like 42 and 43.
But he's not going to play that long.
Yeah, but it's guaranteed on your cap. Like, there's a lot of money that the Titans, or the Jets in this case for Aaron Rodgers, would have to have on their salary cap, on their books for Aaron Rodgers in that situation.
That I do not agree with. I think that if he retires and puts his retirement paper in that, then that changes. So I disagree. The Jets would not set themselves up for that failure. So I would retract that.
And Sam Phelan went through and did all of this work. Aaron Rodgers has his
but it comes off the books. Tom Brady was the same way. Once you submit those papers are important. And once you submit those retirement papers, then that changes that particular team's cap situation based on that.
And do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire after the next 2 seasons? Like, do you think he's done?
Yeah, I don't expect him to play based on. Look, Aaron Rodgers is a risk, just like Lamar Jackson is a risk. Aaron Rodgers is a risk mentally. I think Lamar Jackson is a risk physically. So there's 2 different sides of things. I thought for a short term, I think Rand could get out on the other side after Aaron Rodgers, and we don't sit here and say, wow, Rand Carthon, what the hell did he just do? I think it would be tough if he tried to go after Lamar, give up 2 first-round picks, and Lamar failed. I don't think that Rand would survive that at his job if that in fact fell short and set the franchise back.
All right,
that's also the way I would answer your question.
All right, so Zach is no on the Titans. Should the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson? Zach is a no. I am a yes. I will tell you why in a second, why I am a yes. The Titans should pursue Lamar Jackson. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. Whenever you get hurt in life, like we just been talking about injury rate and injury history, well, you can help out your injuries with the Bone and Joint Institute by going to check them out to help you get back to a healthy lifestyle. Zach and I have talked about this over the last several years. We've been working with the Bone and Joint Institute, who are phenomenal, by the way. Super easy to work with them whenever you have a injury inconvenience. I'm going to start calling it that because injuries are absolutely inconveniences for your life. They mess up your routine. They mess up what you need to do in your personal and your work life, professionally, whatever it might be. So don't just allow that pain to hang around. Go check out the Bone and Joint Institute. They have the specialists there in Franklin and an incredible facility right off the interstate. It's so easy to get to. They do everything under that one roof. And if you need more convenience, they've got extra clinics around Williamson County for your convenience. But check them out right there, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we're powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Get on your phone afterwards. Download it in your Apple or Android app store. And man, they got the hookup if you are a new user. If you've not downloaded it yet, you can. And if you're a new user, use the promo code, the bonus code ATOZ Sports. Get $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's ATOZ Sports as the bonus code. Download the app today.
So we asked the question, should the Titans pursue Lamar Jackson after the non-exclusive franchise tag? And once again, to kind of reset, Jeremy Fowler said this Sunday morning on SportsCenter. And when you talk about good fits, I asked some executives around the league what teams would make sense. They mentioned Tennessee, who just cleared some cap space. They have a new GM in Rand, who is currently working on the roster. They could use a running quarterback. They have experience with that in the past. So I say yes, the Titans should pursue Lamar Jackson, only if he is still in this same situation after the 2023 NFL draft. There is zero reason for the Titans to present Lamar Jackson with an offer sheet before this draft. Don't do it. And this goes for any NFL team. They should not present an offer sheet to allow the Baltimore Ravens to get a 2023 first rounder and a 24 first rounder. The Titans should go through, do whatever the hell they want to do in the draft, like they don't have Lamar Jackson, and draft at 11 or trade it or gather whatever they want to do. Go get players who can help this football team. And then after that, now you can go present Lamar Jackson with an offer sheet and sees what happens. Because the deadline on this non-exclusive franchise tag for Lamar to sign it is July 17th. So you've got 2.5 months after the draft to work with this. And so I say, yes, the Titans should pursue Lamar Jackson after the draft. If you feel better about your offensive line, if you get a couple young, talented wide receivers to go along with Treylon Burks and Chig, who we like, right? The defense we like, don't get rid of Kevin Byard, for the love of God. Sign Jeffrey Simmons to save you money on the 2023 cap, and then see where you're at. And then guess what you get to do? You also get to take advantage of teams who might not have gotten the quarterback via the draft the way they wanted to. So Ryan Tannehill could have options, or if you can't move Ryan Tannehill via trade, you can simply cut him post June 1st and then save $27 million this salary cap, which can go towards Lamar Jackson and other situations for this team. Because we know this, Zach, Mike Vrabel doesn't want to lose. Mike Vrabel doesn't want to rebuild. And as much as Rand Carthon seems like he's trying to set things up for a rebuild, I don't think he wants to do that either. So Lamar Jackson helps you make a rip the Band-Aid off move from the previous John Robinson tenure of players and team and start fresh with potentially having Lamar Jackson and your first round pick this year, where you give up 2 first round picks, but not until 24 or 25, where Mike Vrabel should have you picking in the 20s because you have Lamar Jackson and a pretty good defense.
All right, I want to respond to that. Let's get to some lunchbox money. Andre says, is this Lamar's last contract? Will the Titans be in the Ravens spot in 4 years with a contract dispute? How would this hamper teams' moves in the future? A lot to consider. To respond to that, Andre, if you look at what Lamar is asking for, which is honestly a lot, Lamar is seeking close to $230 million. That's what he's seeking. Like, it's wild to think about that. And it's even more if you look at some of the rumors, plus you're not negotiating. He declined a 6-year, $290 million deal.
That was
in 2022.
That was disputed by Lamar Jackson and was not confirmed. There was speculation around that, but we don't know that for sure.
Well, he's asking for an astronomical amount of money because they haven't even gotten the talks off the ground. The Ravens figured out early on that they were far away, and they did that early on. They said, look, we're going to put the non-exclusive tag on you, and good luck, my friend. So here would be my response to what you're saying. Here is why I value first-round picks for the Titans now compared to when I did several years ago. John Robinson's not picking these first-round draft picks. I believe that the Titans will be better, because how low the bar is, will be better at targeting and picking first-round picks. And Austin, that's how you win football games. That's how you build your franchise. I've been yelling that from the rooftops for years and years. If you pick correctly and re-sign players if you pick them in the first round, you get a 5th-year option for the team. If you are signing extensions with that player, that means that they're on your roster presumably for at least 8 years. 8 years of really good play is worth it. That's how, because half of that 8 years is 4. And you're probably going to sign that first round pick to an extension before you get to your 5th round option or your 5th-year option. That means that you're getting value in the first 4 years of the player. So Rand needs to build this franchise for the long haul. And I think that you're going to wind up in a bad spot if you have Lamar Jackson and you don't have back-to-back first-round picks. Because I think Lamar Jackson can win you a certain amount of games. And Austin, your first pick over the next 2 years, if you in fact decide to entertain this after this year's draft, is probably going to be midway through the 2nd round. That's not how you build a team. Now, to build a team, you need a franchise quarterback. I don't disagree with you there, but I've got too many question marks about the health of Lamar Jackson moving forward. He's proven to us, Austin, in back-to-back years that he has sacrificed his franchise's season due to his health. They didn't make the playoffs 2 years ago because of Lamar Jackson, correct?
Yeah,
they didn't win a single playoff game last year because of Lamar Jackson.
And the Titans didn't make the playoffs this past year because of Ryan Tannehill's health.
Yes.
Right? And so we all know that. But Zach, I also think
it's not worth it.
I also think right now there are 2 ways to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. There's the Chiefs way, where you make a beautiful evaluation and you get a quarterback in the first round and it works out amazingly, right? And you have the head coach and Andy Reid to go along with it. So it makes it work.
And
right?
the Bills did that as well. So they're in the same
but
thing.
the Bills haven't gotten there yet. I mean, they haven't gotten the AFC title.
Yeah, but they're competing for Super Bowls.
Right.
The Titans are behind.
But again, what did I say? There's 2 ways to do it now. There's the Chiefs way. Then there's also the Rams/Bucks way. And we can't compare the Titans to the Rams because they don't have the actual cash to do what the Rams did. And the Bucks is a different situation because of Tom Brady. But you have the ability, like you say, Rand Carthon wants to build this for the long haul. That would be great, right? But like that takes a lot of patience. And I think Rand's going to get some patience because it's his first year,
He just
right?
started.
But I also do think when there's opportunities to get somebody like Lamar Jackson for only 2 first-round draft picks, and you have an opportunity to continue what you have because you've gotten proven commodities on this roster, you're just missing the offensive playmaking. And I like Ryan Tannehill. I am totally fine if Ryan Tannehill is the Titans quarterback in 2023. But I do think there's opportunity to acquire Lamar Jackson, cut or get rid of Tannehill in some shape or form, gain $27 million of cap, extend Jeffrey Simmons, keep Kevin Byard, have a legitimate defense with Mike Vrabel, and have a Lamar Jackson offense with Burks, Chig, a first-round pick at 11 overall or wherever it goes, and build with a young, more explosive offense with Lamar Jackson to go win the AFC South right now. Zach, if the Titans have Lamar Jackson and Jackson Smith and Jigba and Treylon Burks with a better offensive line and the defense, they're the AFC South favorites. And not
I think
this
you
year.
skipped over something that is very important. You skipped over the Ryan Tannehill situation. What do you do if you make this move with Ryan Tannehill? Do you just cut him?
I didn't skip over. I said it earlier when I went through my entire process that after, the only way I think the Titans should pursue Lamar Jackson is after this upcoming draft, right? So you've got May to do this. And after June 1st, you can cut Ryan Tannehill and save $27 million this year. Or you can trade Ryan Tannehill after you figure out Lamar.
It's probably passed.
Well, but after the draft, you have to figure some things out. And I'm going to, maybe I can
say after the draft, players have been selected to rosters. So there's less needy teams. So you're not.
Yeah, but
the only way Ryan Tannehill is going to have to be cut post June.
That's fine. And I think if you use the month of May to gain Lamar Jackson, then you can cut Ryan Tannehill and you gain cap space because Lamar Jackson might get a buku of guaranteed money with the offer sheet the Titans in this hypothetical situation go with, but they're probably going to spend less on the starting quarterback than $36 million if they cut Tannehill after June 1 and with acquiring Lamar Jackson. Those two, the dead cap for Tannehill and Lamar's first year cap hit is probably going to be less than 36 mil if they do that. And I think after the draft, look, the Ravens are not going to get an offer sheet before this draft. Any team would be stupid to try to go out and sign Lamar Jackson from March 22nd to the draft.
Well, there are no teams that pick before or after the Ravens that need quarterbacks. So like the only justification would be if you need a quarterback, like if, for example, if the Giants were willing to move off of Daniel Jones and they were going to get a quarterback, that pick is less valued because it's lower, right? It's right around the 20s or something.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. There's not a single team. So I do agree with you. If you're going to do this, you're going to do it post-draft.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if a team, because of what the value of a first-round pick is today, gives up 2 of them.
Zach, you know who would need a quarterback if the Titans acquire Lamar Jackson? The Baltimore Ravens. You know who needs a quarterback? I mean,
I think the Ravens would take a different approach. The Ravens would do what they did this past year in the last 2 years, go to war with the backup quarterback and then have 2 first-round picks next year.
Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. So look,
this is a joke.
There are teams that will see what happens when, again, I will hang tight because I've got 2 teams that I have in mind that I think outside the Titans that I believe would be good fits for Lamar. I'll just hang on to that for a rainy day, right? And so, but again, I do think it would make a lot of sense for the Titans to do this after the NFL draft.
I think it makes sense for a team to do it. I just don't think it's the Titans. Look, that's why we're going to wait and see. The Titans do have cap space. That was kind of the premise of the Jeremy Fowler report on Sunday. Some quick comments that I've seen for some lunchbox money. Danny says, when you're in the current situation the Titans are in, you need those first rounders. That's kind of what I was saying. The Titans are not a quarterback away. Sorry, saying that Lamar Jackson is not going to get them over the edge and not have those two players that are going to be valuable over the next 3 seasons.
Well, let's think about this. Right? If the Titans have Lamar Jackson as their quarterback, where are they most likely drafting? Because the AFC South is still not great, right? The Jags are way better, but they're still probably a max 10-7 football team.
The Jags would still be the favorites.
I mean, we'll see.
After what Trevor Lawrence did, the Jags are the favorites.
But again, like they're not like runaway favorites. Like the max, the Jags 10-7 is probably like a great record for the Jags in 2023
due to their schedule.
And then so you also look at the Texans and the Colts who are in a complete reset mode, and the Titans if they have Lamar Jackson, there's opportunity to go win right now, and that's where I think you could be you can make the playoffs in 2023. So your 2024 pick is in, the range of 20 to 24. Lamar Jackson can win you a playoff game.
It's just if Lamar Jackson is hurt, you're toast.
Yeah.
And the likeliness of that happening is higher than any other quarterback that plays in this league.
I don't.
No matter what loansharkinjury.com tells you. Lamar Jackson is the most prone to injury of any starting quarterback. If you polled America that watches the NFL on Sundays and you said which starting quarterback is most prone to injury this season, they would probably say Lamar Jackson.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Bottom 2.
Let's see. Injury-prone quarterbacks. Carson Wentz isn't starting.
It's Tua,
Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's Tua and
Jimmy Garoppolo, who's hurt all the time.
But you're in the bottom 3. And
Kyler Murray.
You could list a number of players. Austin, it doesn't matter. He's still out of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the bottom 5 of most injury prone when you're paying $200+ million and God knows hundreds of $1 million in guaranteed money for said player.
But if you, I do think, Kyler Murray's up there. Absolutely. You've got, Tua and who else did I say?
And Jimmy G. There's Jimmy 4. G.
Right.
You're at the bottom of the league.
I mean, Trey Lance, again, quarterbacks get hurt, especially in 17 games, but
it's about the way Lamar plays. Lamar can play unbelievable. We've seen that, but more years than not, he's cost his team. Correct?
The last 2 years, his injury situation has cost his team. Yes.
And I think that's a huge sacrifice for the amount of money and the amount of draft picks that you have to give up. Real quick, Gary brings up, do you think Henry would want Lamar over Tannehill? And the Henry thing is unique because he's just got 1 more year left on his deal, right? Like he's going to be a Titan for 1 year and he may not even be a Titan for 1 year. We don't know what Derrick Henry's going to do. We don't know. The draft hasn't gotten here yet.
A couple people picked up on it when I went through my entire hypothetical of what if after the draft the Titans could go after Lamar Jackson, right? I never mentioned Derrick Henry's name because I honestly don't know what's going to happen with Derrick Henry. And if you get Lamar Jackson, I don't know what that means for Derrick Henry. I think if I were Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill is a better fit for me because Ryan Tannehill is a better play action passer. Ryan Tannehill is a better quarterback who can push the ball down the field when he has weapons who can get the hell down the field. But again, I don't think Derrick Henry's in a situation where he can pick and choose what he wants. I think Derrick Henry doesn't have a lot of control.
All right, real quick. Andre says for the record, he'd rather have a rookie contract in cap space. We talked through that. Mm-hmm. And then also scrolling down, and we got a ton of comments. Kick It to the King Production says, with some jackpot bucks. You can draft your wide receiver 11 or your tackle. So there's options. They may both play for Ohio State. Once you cut trade Tannehill post-June, the money goes towards Lamar. You can also backload the contract, but Lamar is too rich for Amy Adams. Love to see it, but kick it to the King production saying 20% chance. There's a lot to unpack there. So I think that's fair. We also have Nathaniel saying Lamar $50 million and Tannehill $36 million. I take Lamar every day of the week and twice on Sunday. The problem is, Nathaniel, I don't know if Lamar's going to be there twice on Sunday. So that's the question that you have from Lamar. And then our last, scrolling down. Man, there's been a lot of comments.
I know, right?
And Kane says, Zach is talking out both sides of his mouth. 1 minute Lamar would be a good choice, yet he's injury prone, so he's worth getting. I don't.
No, you never said you were pro Lamar. You were anti this. I was.
Yeah, Kane, you need to be listening out of both sides of your ears. Yeah, because I'm not talking. I'm not there. We'll showcase the bad comment.
Yeah,
Kane, listen out of both sides of your ears, or go get some hearing aids because I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. I'm saying exactly what I feel. And Austin has taken one side. I had no idea. I was surprised, Austin, that you took that side.
Yeah. So. Again, after the draft, yes, the Titans should pursue Lamar Jackson. But again, who knows what's going to happen. So we'll see how this goes. This will not be the last time we talk about Lamar Jackson and the Titans. I feel confident in saying that.
And I will say this, Valentino, I was not on the show that a couple of weeks ago that you guys talked Lamar. So I have not had an opinion on Lamar.
Yeah, that was Sam and I. And honestly, I've changed my tune. I was more anti this than I was, on March 8th when Sam and I had that conversation. All right, Zach, it is time to throw shade. I'm going to throw shade that's Titans related. It makes no sense. I don't understand what happened yesterday, but I will throw shade on it. But first, you tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your new health plan. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Plan on them for health, vision, dental. I've got all of mine through Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, and I'm really glad that I did. I took a quick health assessment. I answered those questions open and honestly. It was pretty simple. It took me 15, 20 minutes. And then I waited, I think, a day or two, maybe max 2. And I received a quote. And they kind of set me up of, hey, this could be your quote. And I was like, wow, if that's going to be my quote, that's going to be great. Well, that quote happened, and I saved 20% per month on this health plan, and I got better coverage, including a Teladoc conference when I'm sick. So it's a lot easier. That's the new way of medicine and practicing for doctors to help prescriptions, and they can help you out when you're sick. I mean, they've helped me in so many different ways. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. If you're in the state of Tennessee, make sure that you look at Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's FBHP.com/A to Z.
Don't forget, with the BetMGM app, you can win big, especially starting Thursday again. Just about a day and a half for us to go until college basketball comes back, and I'm looking forward to that. So in the meantime, have your friends join BetMGM so you can get bonus bets to use on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And for the rest of this tournament, what you do is you log into your BetMGM app and you send that refer friend invitation out to your friends, and you get $50 in bonus bets if they sign up with your invitation. And you can do that up to 20 friends. So that's up to $1,000 in bonus bets if they sign up with your invitation, and they get the same $50 in bonus bets as well. So have your friends join. There's not much more fun than talking about your bets with your betting buddies, win or lose. Like Zach and I had a conversation about all the things we lost over the weekend, but it was fun during that conversation. So check that out with the BetMGM Refer a Friend invitation. So check that out. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only, new and existing customer offer. All promotions, subject qualification, eligible requirements. Rewards issued and knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. And for problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Time to throw some shit. All right, Zach, time to throw shade on this Wednesday. You're laughing. I'm guessing you're having a chuckle at a shade in the comment section.
Well, Charlie's saying, I don't remember Lamar being this damn injured. Zach's acting like he's Lonzo Ball. And that Lonzo Ball comment
That is funny.
That was
Lamar
good,
Jackson
Charlie.
has had, let's see, he's had 5 injuries in his NFL career. The last 2 years, he's had 2 that have really been something, right? He had a concussion that wasn't a big deal. I believe that was after he got bounced from the playoffs, so it didn't affect anything. And then he had a lumbar sprain pull in 2021 in September. But the last 2 years, when he had the knee injury and the ankle sprain, that's where everything.
They're season costing injuries. I think that's they create more levity of what they represent. I think that's why it's been brought up, and it's been back-to-back years, and you're getting a guy coming off of that. Real quick, Gary says, can you guys answer my super chat? And his super chat was about Derrick Henry. I think what we mentioned was the unknown of Derrick Henry. Let's wait 31 days, and Gary then will assess where Derrick Henry is or where he's not. And then we'll talk about Lamar after the draft, if he still is, in fact, under the non-exclusive tag. Let's see. Carlos says, shade on the Cardinals. I knew this was going to happen for signing Dennis Daly to a 2-year contract. You saw that yesterday. Let's see. Jonathan says, shade on me for wanting a 40-year-old quarterback, but not wanting a 26-year-old MVP quarterback. Well, you left out. Well, no, actually, you included 2-time MVP. Actually, Aaron Rodgers has won it 2 or 3, 4. So a 4-time MVP versus a 1-time MVP.
He won back-to-back MVPs like in the last 2 and 3 years ago, right?
Bork, talking about Daly again, shade on that. Michael Jones throwing shade on Zach for calling Triple J trash because he is trash. You just need to reassess your thought process of what trash is, and it comes in the form of Jaren Jackson Jr. because he's not going to be available in the fourth quarter because he's going to foul out and fail. Denise says, shade on Rand not getting a vet wide receiver to help this young group. I think the hard part was there wasn't a lot of vet wide receivers out there. Mm-hmm. Brent says, throwing shade on myself for saying Tennessee had no chance of beating Duke and making the Sweet 16. I think a lot of Tennessee fans were in that group just to, prove to me that you can win. They proved that, look, and they're playing this week.
I have text evidence to Charlie Burris and Zach Reagan that I said Tennessee matches up really well with Duke, but I also emotionally hedged my bets and put $50 on Duke to win on BetMGM. So, that's how that works.
So Malachi's saying, doesn't Zach talk about the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, yet he wants the Titans to continue to do what they've done over the last 20 years. That's wrong, Malachi. There's a new person that is controlling the Titans' decisions, which is a brand new general manager and a new look on what the team is. So I don't think they're doing the same thing. I think that they'll pick better first-round picks now that John Robinson's not making those decisions. Jesse also throwing a lot of shade at me. Well, wanting to stay mediocre for all these years. I'm not trying for the Titans to stay mediocre. That's honestly the last thing that I would want. Mm-hmm. And let's see. American says, shade on American baseball players who refuse to play for their country in the World Baseball Classic, where Japan had almost all their entire team made up of Japanese all-stars. You saw that last night where Japan beat the United States in the World Baseball Classic. That actually was a close game in the 9th inning.
Yeah, it's the most viewers that Mike Trout and other Angels players have ever had on.
That's good shade right there. All right, what is your shade, Austin?
My shade was on a couple of other people's shades. It was the fact that the Arizona Cardinals didn't just sign Dennis Daly to a contract. The Arizona Cardinals signed Dennis Daly to a 2-year contract. It's not just that the Arizona Cardinals signed Dennis Daly to a 2-year contract, is that Monty Austinfort is the new Cardinals GM who was just the assistant GM with the Tennessee Titans, who had to have watched Dennis Daly give up the most sacks per pass block snap of any left tackle in the last 30 years. And then he gets a job to be an NFL general manager. And on March 21st, he signs Dennis Daly to a 2-year contract. And I don't care about the details on Dennis Daly's contract of how little money it might be for. You don't need to sign Dennis Daly in March. You can sign Dennis Daly in July. Whenever, just after go draft a guy in the 7th round, get an undrafted free agent to come into rookie minicamp. Hell, get a tryout player after you sign all your undrafted free agents. And that guy is worth and better for an investment into your franchise than Dennis Daly. Like, what is Monty Ossenfort doing? That makes no sense. Like, you saw how bad Dennis Daly was, and then you get your opportunity and you sign him to your new opportunity. I'm throwing shade on Monty Ossenfort for signing Dennis Daly to a contract.
A lot of people agree with you. This was probably our most popular shade of this shade day on this Wednesday.
And yes, Xavier says, and the Titans wanted Monty as the GM. And David says that this guy interviewed for the Titans GM position. He did. The Titans interviewed Monty Austin for that GM position.
The Cardinals' job is a tough job. I don't know if I would want that.
Like,
job.
Is that a part of the plan? Like, is it all right? The Cardinals have Kyler Murray with the torn ACL. They have a bunch of money lined up with Murray. Do you just try to have a bad offensive line and make up some ACL recovery complications with Kyler, punt on 2023, have whoever your quarterback is get sacked 18 times from Dennis Daly, and then figure it out after that? Like, is that the plan? Because that seems like it.
Maybe. My shade happened from over the last 13 hours, and I had no idea. So a little backstory. In July, I went to Mexico and caught this Cubera snapper fish. If you see that, big boys, like 55 pounds. So on the boat, talking to the captain, whether I was talked into it, I said yes. And I got this thing taxidermied and getting it mounted. So they told me it was going to take 6 months. That was in July. So it's March, right? So 6 months, July to December is 6 months. Now we're January. Now we're February. Now we're March. We're end of March. So I had this hunch. I kept on thinking about this. It's like, look, this fish, pretty big. I need to clear some room. I don't have room in my current house. I'm planning on buying another house in the summer. I don't have room. So yesterday afternoon, I have a storage unit, and I went to clear some space in said storage unit for this big-ass fish. I get an email, no lie, Austin, at 8 a.m. this morning before the show about that the fish has been shipped. The problem is that they have shipped this fish to my street address, but to Monson, Massachusetts. Wrong address. So I now have to call them, and who knows where this fish is going to be swimming all up the Atlantic coast and then possibly back down to Nashville at some point. I don't know what I have to do, but you have one job, taxidermy company, and that is to ship it to the right address that I provided. And now it's going to Monson, Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's weird. It's funny. There's an address that matches mine in Virginia. And every once in a while, when I'll be like searching for something, I'll get that address to pop up. And I'm like, no, I'm not in Virginia. Like, where the hell I am. You track everything, So yeah, that's
I don't know. As the comments say, it's a little fishy, but now I'm going to have to get on the phone afterwards and talk some. I mean, it's already shipped. I'm screwed. Yeah. It's somewhere in the abyss.
You have to wait. You have to wait till it lands in Massachusetts. Hey, maybe you can holler at Doug Kyad to go pick it up for you. Right?
Well, I may pick it up next week.
That's true.
Never. I would never do that.
All right, guys. That's a great show today. Look, Jimbo, we waited a couple days to have the Lamar Jackson conversation. I hope Jimbo got what he was looking for. So Zach says, no, Titans should not pursue Lamar Jackson. I say yes, but only after this upcoming draft. So we'll see how that plays out over the next several weeks leading up to the NFL draft. Make sure you like the show before you go. I always say this. I guarantee There are way more people watching live right now that have hit the like button. So hit the like button if you're on Facebook. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Hit that like button for us. Helps us out greatly. Coming up later on today, Buck Rising has a live 615 Sessions podcast this afternoon with a Titans media member. I'm sure they'll talk about this Lamar Jackson as well. That's at 2 Central. And then Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Prime Time at 8 right there. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.